the key piece of manifestation, it's unshakable belief, but then it's action. And it's really hard to take action if you don't buy into it.
Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to invite you to a brand new free masterclass called the 5-Step Holiday Sales Playbook. I'll be handing over my 5-step system to you, which has helped me make millions of dollars in jewelry sales over the years. It's exactly how we train our top tier brands to grow their sales every year, especially during the holiday season. Now, I know how challenging it is to grow jewelry sales when you have so much to do to run your business, especially at this time of the year. That's why I'm handing over my 5-step playbook for free on this 90-minute masterclass. I'm going to be sharing with you how Lindsay 2x her sales during some of the slower months of the year just by following this system. And I'm also going to share with you how Heather tripled her sales over this time last year, and we haven't even hit the holiday season yet. So if you're ready to adopt better habits, double your sales, and escape overwhelm in 30 days or less using this holiday sales system, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/sales playbook to save your seat for free. It's available for a limited time. So check it out right away. Are you someone who is here to manifest and create great things in your life, but maybe your habits aren't quite supporting what you say that you want to manifest or generate? Well, if that's you, then I have a great episode for you today. I'm interviewing my brand new friend, Alessia Citro, on the podcast. She just wrote a best-selling book called Higher Self Habits, and it is so good. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy and Creatives Rule the World, and I help creatives grow 5, 6, and 7-figure businesses using my methodology called the Desire Brand Effect. And if you're someone who wants to get more ease and flow in your life and make growing a business as a creative just basically a given, then you're in the right place. Now, today, as I mentioned, I interview Alessia Citro. I had a great opportunity to sit down with her at our mastermind retreat as we did a live podcast episode. So we're about to dive into this interview with Alessia Citro. But before we do, I just want to remind you that make sure that you subscribe to this channel. And if you are enjoying this, that little notification bell so you're notified anytime we release new episodes. Let's dive into this podcast with Alessia. So I like to start every podcast I do by just like sharing a little bit of your journey, like what got you here today, and you have a heck of a story. So let's dive into that.
Well, it has been a winding road. I am a big tech corporate dropout. When I met Ashley, I was grinding, working at Salesforce. I remember distinctly it was the end of the quarter, so while I was supposed to be on a girls' trip, just hanging out with my girlfriends, I was also working and closing deals while I was there. Fully in my masculine energy, didn't even know what feminine energy was, let's be real. Then, fast forward, the role that I had gone into might be getting eliminated. So I'm like, well, I better find a different job. I take a job at Google, paying me twice as much. I'm like, oh, this is my dream job. I've made it, I've arrived, I'm so cool, I'm working at Google. And then that was March 2nd, 2020, and you know what happened a week later. And I'm a mom. My daughter at the time was 15 months old. My husband has a really demanding job too, and I could only work 3 hours a day when she napped. Thank God she was a good napper. It would have been even worse. And slowly, over the next 9 months, my identity was completely stripped from me. I had identified with my doing. Anyone resonate with that? Mm-hmm. I was a quota crusher. I was this tech sales badass, girl boss, all that shit. Can I swear?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we just talked about Taco Tuesday. I mean,
although you were saying F word, not I have that permission.
The profanity coming out of Taco Tuesday's mouth, this won't make sense on the podcast, but like, was so insane, and I will share some of them. But it's like multiple uses of how she used the F word was amazing.
I mean, I think it could be the only word that is a noun, verb, and adjective.
It is, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the habits girl who loves the higher self, but I still love to swear. So anyway, so my identity gets completely stripped from me. Now, at the same time, I had started a network marketing company right before COVID had hit, about 6 months before. It was selling organic wine on the internet. And what do you think happened during COVID? Freaking exploded. Mm-hmm. I ended up building a 7-figure wine business, almost 1,000 people on my team in like under 2 years.
Wow.
And what do you think happened with that? Well, you got to be a product of the product. And your girl became a high functioning alcoholic. I had always had questionable drinking behavior going back to college, but it was like normal, right?
Yeah.
I use quotes because what's normal is not always optimal. And so to make a long story short, I end up having an existential crisis, take 3 months of medical leave to deal with episodic depression that came from my grandpa passing away, from drinking way too much. I get myself right and I go back to Google. And it was great for about a month. And then I'm like, oh my God, if I stay in this job, it will probably kill me. I can't deal with the pressure. I have no balance at all. I am so not in alignment. And then I meet this woman on a plane coming home from Maui. The whole week, let me back up. My husband and I, we have a vacation rental in Maui. And the whole week we were there, getting this place ready, so grateful that this dream had come true. And like the things that were happening, you guys, I don't know if any of you have been to Maui and tried to furnish a house there, but it is really hard to get furniture, appliances, pretty much anything. And what do you know? We go into Home Depot and they're like, oh, this special order just canceled. The exact fridge and the exact dishwasher and the exact stove you want are all available. We can deliver them tomorrow.
Whoa. That's crazy.
And then I ordered furniture from Wayfair, and this bed shows up and it looks like doll furniture, and I was like, this is not the vibe. Sell this on Facebook Marketplace. We got to get a different bed. Go to a furniture store and the exact bed I want, they're like, oh, a special order just canceled. It's now available. We could do like stuff like
so
that.
crazy.
My husband and I are at the pool, and like this couple, this is back when I was still drinking, this couple sends us a bottle of champagne anonymously. And the server's like, these people wanted to send you champagne because they just love your energy, and they just wanted you to, keep on keeping on, basically. So things like this were happening, right? Last day we're in Maui. I'm on a call with a deal I was trying to push through at Google. I was being forced to like shove this deal down this guy's throat, and it was not in alignment. So him and I have a come to Jesus one-on-one, and I was like, look, if I'm being really honest, I think this is a shitty deal. I wouldn't do it if I was you, and I feel like you don't want to do it either. He's like, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, it's dead. We're killing it. I'll tell him. And then I get on the plane to Maui. Okay, we get upgraded to first class last minute while we're boarding. I know, I told you. Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, I'm like manifesting all the good things here.
Yes.
Maui is also a special place for that. It's like Sedona,
is,
but
yeah.
that's a whole other story. So we get upgraded. We're not sitting together. I'm like, yeah, whatever, Jeff. See you in LA. I sit next to this woman, Jody. Still good friends with her, by the way. And she tells me after we've taken off, we bonded over our mutual love, at the time anyway, of Tito's and soda. And she goes, I knew I was meant to talk to you, that you were meant to sit here because I have something I have to share with you. And I was like, what? I'm like, a normal person would be creeped out, but I'm not. Tell me more. And she basically said, you are not doing what you're meant to be doing. There's so much more that you have to offer. You need to take the leap and go for it. You have everything that you need within you. I was like, you're right, I'm gonna quit my job tomorrow. And so we drank Tito's the whole way back to LA. We deplane, and my husband is like, you are drunk and you're being so loud. I was like, I know, but I'm also quitting my job tomorrow. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? And so I did that. And so then, I'm getting to the point, I promise. This is a longer answer than I usually get.
No, I love it. It's so good.
So the next day, I quit my job. And I banged my head against the wall for 2 years as an entrepreneur, because all of you own your own businesses, correct? Yes. Okay. When you own your own business, personal development is no longer optional. It's actually a requirement, and it took me a while to figure that out. So all the stuff that had worked for me in corporate, of like going hard, then like backing off, like this roller coaster, this boom and bust cycle, that did not work anymore as a business owner. And so I was like, what's missing here? I'm like, oh, habits. Maybe that James Clear guy's onto something. And then I start consuming all of this information on habits, and I'm like, and I also I'm like really woo-woo too. So I'm like, what if I could synthesize all of these and make habits so that they work for women? Because the way that we do it has to be different than how the boys do it. Because, no offense to our lovely cameraman over here, for men it is ground.
Poor Jason.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. For men, they are blessed with a 24-hour hormone cycle, and the world is built by and for them. Every day is Groundhog Day. Meanwhile, the rest of us women, we're on a 28-day-ish hormone cycle. Doing the same shit every day does not work. So that is a long way of saying I made a lot of false starts, banged my head against the wall a lot, paid so much stupid tax.
I
Experiential
love stupid tax. Oh, I love the term.
Yeah.
Who wrote that in the book? Jason, you know that. Who wrote that book? He talks, dumb tax is what they call it.
Oh, well, I've paid a hell of a lot of it.
Stupid tax, dumb tax, yeah.
The IRS doesn't have shit on the dumb tax collector, let me just tell you. But now I've arrived at this place where I'm like creating habits that are in alignment with the person I want to be, doing it in a flexible way that is devoted versus disciplined. It changes everything. So and now here we are.
I'm so excited to talk about this and go. So you wrote a book?
Wrote a book, yeah, wow, that was an interesting journey.
Yeah, how'd that go?
The only thing I could compare it to is being pregnant and giving birth, and then also the postpartum part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, you mean I'm gonna have an energy rebound and I'm gonna need to like not leave my house for a month? I got the flu actually the day of my book launch. I don't get sick, it just doesn't happen for me. I've got an immune system like a freaking ox. And no, the day my book launched, I was vomiting in a trash can as I became a bestseller. I had to cancel my book launch party, and yeah, it was
my
wild.
God.
But we did it.
Awesome. So, yeah.
Do y'all believe in TMI? Because I clearly don't.
No, I love it. So I know the process of writing a book because I wrote a book too, and you're on this high, you're doing all the things, and then you're doubting yourself, and you're kind of like, what, is anyone gonna like this? Is it gonna be good? Like, how'd you overcome some of those
Okay, so I'm going to use
limiting thoughts?
Well, oh my gosh. Okay, so a few things. So the first, again, we're going to go back to the pregnancy analogy, and if you have not had children, you'll still get this. You get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid to have a baby. I'm not ready to have a baby. And then you get to a point where you're like, just get this thing out of me. Yeah. That's kind of like what it was. But before I got to that point, it was so much imposter syndrome. You guys, I have a business degree. I sold tech. What the fuck do I know about behavior design, behavior science? Who am I to write a book about habits?
It's really good though.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what though? Like, who am I not to write it? Because I've walked the walk. It's not like I'm just like spouting theories. This is how I have literally changed my life, done a 180, been the happiest I've ever been, had harmony at home, been a more present mother, like completely shifted. Like, you guys should see, well, maybe I looked a little better when you saw me in a pool at the Hamptons, but Ashley's seen the before and after in real life. Like, I did not look like this. I looked like a sad bitch. And now I'm and I'm not anymore, and it's because of habits and also who I became writing the book. You literally step into your chosen identity. You be her now, which I talk about at length in the book. Like, who is your higher self and how can you show up as her day in, day out?
So let's talk about that. Like, how do you like really create a new identity? If you're, especially when you're kind of in it. Like, I know a lot of us are in the midst of like, you know, the day-to-day, like all the things that we're dealing with. We're trying to upgrade, but then like, you know, the universe is like smacking you down and being like, you are not upgrading today. So like, how do you move through that?
Okay, so it's never going to be perfect. Any other, well, I was going to say recovering perfectionists. Maybe we're not quite in recovery yet, but anyone else resonate with that in the room? Yeah. It's never going to be perfect, but for me, it's getting really clear on the version of me that I know I was created to be. At least the one that I have visibility and a line of sight to now. How is she in the world? Like, how does she show up? Is she expanded or is she contracted, right? For one. How does she react when things don't go her way? When I get cut off, am I gonna give the guy the finger, or am I gonna make light of it like, you know what, he probably is about to shit his pants, we're gonna cut you off. I literally do that, it makes me laugh every time, right? I'm embodying a better vibration. I'm not letting it get to me. No, try it. The next time you get cut off.
I'm gonna do that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Especially all of you from New York or LA, you're gonna have ample opportunities to flex on that. So also, like, what does she consume? Is she, and I don't mean food or alcohol, that's part of it. We all know what we need to be doing there, but like, is she consuming like gossip magazines and like watching Bravo until her eyes bleed? Or is she listening to podcasts that improve her? Is she listening to audiobooks? Is she watching documentaries? And I'm not, like, sometimes we just need to dissociate, so I'm not saying don't do that. But like really thinking about what you're putting in your mind. So it's like all of these aspects of my best self, how does she operate? And then just being really intentional and really conscious of embodying that to the best of my ability every day. And look, it ain't perfect. I am half Italian. Yelling is my tone of voice.
Jason can resonate with that and me. I am not half Italian, but yelling is my tone of voice. Yeah.
So it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. But I notice that when I do really get intentional about being in that energy, I magnetize the things that are meant for me. And that might also look like opportunities that the universe throws my way to be who I say I want to be.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's an ongoing process and it never stops, by the way.
No, it doesn't. I always say this. I say business is the biggest crash course in personal development. And like, you think you get to this, I'm so enlightened right now. And then you're just like smacked down back to where you were like 2 years ago. And you're just like, how did I get here again? And what is this teaching me? Because it's sometimes it's a lot, right?
Yeah, and I honestly though kind of like, well, it depends on the level of setback, but when things don't go my way and then I notice, wow, I reacted to that so differently than I would have 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. It's like, yeah, I got this, I'm doing it.
Love it. So let's say everyone here wants to start developing some of these higher self habits. Like, do you have a framework or something that you want to share?
I sure do. I'm so glad you asked.
Wow.
Okay, so I kind of accidentally figured this out as I was overhauling my life and not drinking anymore and like moving my body more and all of the things that help to transform you. And I realized there were 5 steps to this process. So the first is awareness. You cannot solve anything until you are aware that there is something to be solved.
This is true.
Yeah. So that's the first part. And with awareness, I would also include awareness of the limiting beliefs, the fears, the negative voice. We should talk about that more.
Let's
too.
talk about that. Yeah.
Like becoming aware of all of that. Why we do the things we do, why we are the way we are, not just us personally, but also like as a human being. We have a lot of overlap. So that's the first phase. The second is alignment, like having a clear line of sight to like, who is the woman I was created to be and how am I pursuing her? The third phase is audit. What needs to stay? What needs to go? What do I need to continue doing? And what order do I approach it in? Because I'm sure everyone in this room can relate to this. What do we usually love to do when we decide to up level? We like go for the big sexy goal, right?
Yep.
I hate to break it to you, but you are going to build your house on sand instead of steel if you do that, right? We have to start with the basics that are so boring. I need a lot of variety. I'm like the least likely person to write a book about habits. I mean, that's why I wrote it, because I needed it, to be quite frank. But like, you have to start with the basics. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is actually the lens that I use for this. You've got like your basic like physiological needs. So like before you go and conquer the world and become the best version of yourself, are you hydrated? I carry my emotional support water bottle with me everywhere, by the way.
I think I need some too.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a sip right now. Are you hydrated? Are you sleeping enough? Are you eating nutrient-dense foods? Are you getting so wrapped up in whatever you're doing that you regularly skip lunch? That's actually a habit I'm working on. I don't know how many of you can relate. And the list goes on, right? So you really have to start with like the basic things before you can level up, or you're gonna play whack-a-mole. Then the fourth stage is activate. And this is where you use behavior design. I am here to tell you, if you cannot make a habit stick, it ain't a you problem, it's a design problem. You have a flaw in your design. You all are jewelry makers, right? If you create a flawed design, the jewelry will break, right? So how can you fix the design so that it doesn't? It's the same with habits. And then the final piece is ascension. This is your upward spiral, baby. No more downward spirals. We're done with that. We did that shit. You ascend to a new level of you, and then you unlock new levels of awareness, new levels of alignment. You have new things to audit, new things you can go after and activate, and on and on and on it goes.
And it just keeps going.
No finish line. Yeah,
No finish
I
line.
only figured that out recently. I was like, oh, you mean I don't like just get to become my higher self and like take it easy? Nope.
No.
That's all right. Keeps it fun.
So, and you're all laughing over there. So good. So let's talk a little bit about negative thought patterns. Like, us bullying ourselves, because I feel like we are the meanest to ourselves sometimes, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We talked a little bit about this yesterday on the first day when we were doing the VIP session. Like, most of us in this room, maybe not everyone, but like most of us in this room just like say horrible things to ourselves.
Yeah.
How do we stop that?
I don't know that you can ever stop it completely, so I think being realistic about that is key. But you can lessen it and you can create distance. Also, this dropped in, I feel like someone in this room needs to hear it. I heard once that the negative voice you hear is how like your strict parent used to speak to you.
Yeah. Him. Just kidding.
Yeah, so I think that, and also like making peace with that, because I believe we choose our parents and they set us up for, you know, the experiences we're meant to have. But back to how you can lessen the negative voice. Okay, I talk about this in the book, so you'll read more of it. But essentially, I came to the realization, and this isn't anything I came up with. I think Buddha did. I'm not going to take credit from Buddha, but how can you become the observer of your thoughts?
Yes.
You are not your thoughts. So if I'm not my thoughts, I'm also not this negative voice. It's not me. So you know what I did? I took it up a notch. I gave her characteristics and traits, and I named her. That bitch is Pam. I hope there's no Pams in here. I'm sure you are lovely. Actually, quick.
There are no Pams.
Okay, that's good. Also, I realized like years later, I'm like, why did I name
Mine's
this
Nelly.
voice? Nelly. Okay, I like it. Now I'm thinking of the rapper though. Calm down, Nelly. Anyway, I realized after the fact, I'm like, why did I name it Pam? I'm like, oh, that was my high school sweetheart's mom's name who hated me. That fits. So anyways, yeah, name it. And then that way, when it gets going, you're like, oh, hi Pam, I hear you. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to protect me.
So can you explain to us, like, why they come up? Because they're really here for protection, but it doesn't really make sense.
I have two answers to this, and 5 days ago I would have only had one. So I'll do the one answer and then the one I just learned too, because it might resonate with some of you for sure. Nothing is coincidence. So the reason we have limiting beliefs and fear is because we have ancient brains. So, and you know, don't like, you can try to fact check me on this. The numbers are fuzzy, it depends who you ask, but we've got 3 layers to the brain, okay? And the oldest one is the reptilian brain. All animals share this. Came on the scene about 500 million years ago. This is the part where like you try to fact check me, I might be, whatever. I did the best research I could and write in the book, so don't come at me.
I don't think they're gonna fact check you.
No, you guys seem pretty chill. So the reptilian brain that all animals have is like the basic stuff. It's like what keeps your heart beating, what keeps you breathing. It's concerned with sex, not to like for love and to have fun, but to like keep the species going, like that kind of stuff, the basics. Then you've got the limbic system. This is the emotional center of the brain. And this is like 200 to 300 million years old, came online with mammals. And so, you know, as an example, the limbic brain likes sex, but not for just procreation, for like the love and connection piece, right? Then you've got the neocortex. And we share this with some primates, but this is like 40 million years old. But within the neocortex, what sets us humans apart is the prefrontal cortex. And that is what is both a blessing and a curse of human beings, because we can talk ourselves out of maximizing our potential. In the book, I give the analogy of an acorn. You put an acorn in soil with adequate light and water and favorable conditions, and it will become an oak tree. It doesn't sit there and think, oh, do I have what it takes? Oh, am I to be an oak tree? But we have that, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it. So back to the layers of the brain. If you think about it, I mean, look at how much the world has changed in 50 years.
Oh, I know.
Think about now 100 years, 200 years. I mean, the internet, I'm old enough to remember the dial-up and like, you've got mail, okay? I'm a geriatric millennial. Where are my people at? So that is still pretty new. Like, our brains are not wired yet to be perceived by so many people, to have this much stimulation. So where I'm getting at is our brains are still trying to keep us alive by keeping us within the tribe. Because before we relied on tribes in our small villages to keep us fed and safe and alive. You get kicked out of the tribe because you post something racy on Instagram. Oh my God, I'm gonna die in the wilderness alone. No, you're not. It's just your ancient brain trying to do its best. It hasn't caught up yet. It would be like if you had an iPhone that was still on like the first iOS and you're like trying to do all the features it has now. It's not gonna work.
Do the airdrop bump.
Oh, that
It's
ain't
not
gonna happen. No. So yeah, your brain just needs a software update, and it's not gonna come in this lifetime. Maybe your 10th generation descendants, maybe they'll get it, but it ain't gonna happen for us. So until then, we just need to override the fear. And then discernment. Fear can serve a purpose. Sometimes it's legit. If someone's chasing you, fear comes in really handy. I'm so glad I have an adrenaline rush and I can outrun this person. But, you know, your brain is equating that to going live on Instagram, and it's not the same thing.
No. And also, like, most of the things that we fear and we're afraid of are not going to kill us. That's like the whole point of it, right? So I did this exercise once a couple years ago. I was in like a really bad downward loop, and we identified it. Like every single year in September, I start turning into a crazy person, because in September 2008, my business was wiped out by the stock market crash, my first business. And every single year, Jason and I almost break up. I mean, not this year, we're doing great, but like.
I was gonna say, aren't we in September right now?
This happened like 2 years in a row, and our friend Spencer said to us, what happened to one of you in like September, October? And he looked at Jason, he's like, let me think. He's like, nothing. Like, I don't know. And he's like, maybe the question's for you, Tracy. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I realized it, and I was like, oh, this is just like an opportunity for me to, like, what was coming up was just an opportunity for my brain to try to protect me from pending doom and, you know, my business failing. And it was like this repeat thing that was coming up over and over and over again. Yeah. And things were fine. Like, maybe I didn't think they were fine because I wasn't hitting my super high goal that I was trying to crush for myself. But at the same time, like, even if I have a second business that fails or a third business that fails, I'm not gonna die from it, and I'll still be able to come up with something else. And that's the thing that I think we forget, is like all the things that we do in our business and our life and the things that we perceive as failure, they're just like opportunities for growth.
Yep.
An opportunity to transcend whatever it is, whatever healing we need.
Yep. Oh, I said I just learned a second
Yeah, the
thing
second
on
one.
this
What's the
too.
second thing?
So I was at Weekend at the Pitch Club that Rebecca Cafiero hosts just this past weekend, and she had a speaker that talked about the fear, this limiting belief voice, Pam.
Pam.
Yes, she's like the person that we don't like. And what if she is also the gatekeeper? That if you show her, no, actually, Pam, I got this. I can do it. Yeah, I'm scared, but I'm gonna, because fearless is bullshit, by the way. It's courage, acting in spite of fear. No, Pam, I have courage. I'm gonna go for this anyway. Then the gate is opened, and you can do the thing that you say you want to do. And that for me was a lot more empowering than
interesting.
just
I like
telling
that.
Pam to shut the fuck up.
You know what's interesting? Did anyone see Free Solo? It's like a crazy documentary from some guy who just like, what?
The climber?
Yeah, the climber. And he has no amygdala. And that's
What?
the reason why he wasn't afraid to just like climb. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Like some people like have a more activated amygdala. Our friend who's a doctor was telling us the story.
Wow.
And so if you have an overactive amygdala, you're like fear, like afraid all the time. Like just be aware if that's coming up a lot. But there are a few rare people who are fearless,
Wow. Okay.
but
that's
part of their brain
wild. I need to
is
watch
not
that now.
active. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I'm going to be thinking about that the rest of the day. I'm like, what would happen if, but I hear that. I'm like, I'm glad I have an amygdala because I would die if I tried to do that.
I know.
Yeah. So, everything has its benefits as well as its downsides, I guess.
Exactly. Is there anything else that you want to share before we open this up to questions?
Oh, boy.
I mean, there's so much, but.
So much. Okay, one thing. So we all know say affirmations and be the person that you want to be. And there's actually scientific backing on this, which that part's not coming to me right now. It's in the book, so you can read it. Plug for the book if you're listening. But I didn't do that intentionally, I promise. But one thing I want to share that a coach of mine, a mentor of mine shared with me is how can you begin to build the belief so that you start to believe it's possible for you to be this person. So think of an affirmation right now that like your brain would call bullshit on. Let me just give an example. I am a wildly successful entrepreneur. I'm still in building mode. So that my subconscious is like bullshit. So and that's not helpful. So how can I build the bridge of belief? Well, what the first step you could take is I am the type of person who can become a wildly successful entrepreneur. If you also don't believe that, you can add a few more words to the beginning. You could say, I am willing to consider that I am the type of person who can become a wildly successful entrepreneur. And it really starts with that. It's just believing it's possible. And then we talked about like manifestation earlier when I had walked in as you all were sharing. The key piece of manifestation, it's unshakable belief, but then it's action. And it's really hard to take action if you don't buy into it.
You have to upgrade your beliefs about yourself. I love that. Wait, what did you say? I consider that I could be the type of person.
I'm willing to
consider that I can be the type of person.
It's very non-committal.
Yeah, you don't have to commit.
Consider it.
Maybe it will happen.
Yeah.
I am willing to consider that I might be the type of person with fuck you money by next summer. Taco
rapping.
Tuesday says it's happening.
Yeah.
And no one listening to this podcast knows who Taco Tuesday is.
I need her number after the rap. I'm very intrigued.
Taco's about to get a huge influx of calls. Would anyone like to ask Alessia? Yes, Gemma.
First of all, I think you're amazing, and I'm just so inspired by you. My question is, how did you get your book published?
Ooh, okay. How did I get my book published? I told him I'm going to start calling him this, and I don't think he really liked it. I have a book doula, and his name is Jake Kelfer. Big idea to bestseller. Huge shout out to Jake. He showed me everything from soup to nuts of like how to outline the book. He gave me love shoves and kicked me in the ass when I was stuck and didn't want to keep going, which happened a few times. And then he showed me the how-to of like the tactical of like, here are the editors that you can choose from. Here are the formatters you can choose from. Here are cover designers I've vetted. You're ready to hit publish? Here's how you do it step by step in the back end of Amazon, because I self-published. And also, by the way, like people will ask me, how are book sales going? And I'm like, that's the wrong question. I did not write this book to sell lots of copies. I'm open to it, certainly. And if the New York Times or Wall Street Journal comes calling that they want to put me on their bestseller list, that would be lovely. But that's not why I wrote it. I wrote it to build my business, right? And it immediately establishes so much authority, so much credibility, who I became in the process of writing it as well. And Amazon's the way to go for that, in my opinion. So thank you, Jeff Bezos, for making that happen. You retain all your rights and royalties. And then Jake will even tell you, like, these are the categories to go into. Here's how to find them. You want to pick categories in integrity. Like, if I had found underwater basket weaving to be a category to go bestseller in, like, no, like, that's not really aligned. But, like, I found, behavioral psychology, energy healing, spiritual healing, ones that actually fit the book. And that was how I was able to go bestseller. It's a lot easier than you think it is. And so if writing a book is on your heart, do it. I will make intros to Jake all along. He is amazing.
I would second the self-publishing route for a book that is designed to help build your business, because that's exactly what I did too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, ditto. You are just a bright star and very funny too. Very
you.
funny. Both of you, actually. My question is the backstory of me and my uniqueness is that I kind of like wave from, or like the pendulum swings from overdoing, overbeing, overworking, over to like almost like under. Yeah. And it's very hard for me to find the gray areas in anything I do in life. And people will say, because of what I went through growing up as a child, I grew up in chaos and survival mode. So what is normally scary to other people is not scary. Well, I have fear, of course, and then I just do it anyways. Sometimes without a plan, sometimes without a budget, and I just go for it. So now I'm like learning to kind of undo that and find the balance and be like, well, is that too much? But still like find my inspiration and like follow it. So with the habits and everything like that, it's like, how do you, like, I'll use email, for example, like, I'm not the best at email. Luckily, recently I hired a VA to help me, but like, I need to be more on top of and like consistent with certain like maybe more masculine energy stuff.
Yeah.
But then I also need to like, you know, find the feminine, the creativity, and be nice to my little self and all that stuff. So like, how do you have any suggestions or insights of like the balance of that? And
Well, the thing that like drops in, and this could be because I've been told to read this book like 6 different times, and I finally started reading it like 2 days ago. So I feel like maybe I was told that to answer this question for you right now. Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman.
That's a good book.
It's all about visionaries and integrators. Everything you just said, you are a visionary trying to also be an integrator.
I don't want to be an integrator.
So it's like empowering, and I have control issues. Anyone else? Like, they're not gonna do it as good as me. Actually, I was telling Tracy, I had a VA and then I like pulled back because I'm like, I just need to hone this, get the system dialed, and then give it to her so that I trust she's doing it the best way possible and not like taking twice as long as it should and charging me for it. So all that to say, what if you were to like get it dialed? What do you need them to do? And then you just hand it off and you get to focus on the visionary stuff. And also allowing for the fact that like chaos might be homeostasis for you based on how you grew up. And like, if it is, like, that's fine. I think a lot of us, myself included, and visionaries do this too. We like to introduce chaos because it kind of makes things a little fun. We get really bored really easily. But how can you make other things fun outside? Like one of my mentors, Jillian Murphy, says, your business is not meant to entertain you. Right? But like, I mean, how many of us are guilty of doing things that like keep it? So what if you just go visionary with this, have your VA do all the integration, and then you get to create chaos and variety in your personal life? And then for habits, like what are the baseline things that you know you need to do? That's going to start really building a foundation of like, I can do the things that I say I want to do, even though they bore me to death, and eventually they'll just be on autopilot, they'll fade into the distance, and you're not even going to know they're there. Like, anyone ever can't remember if they unplugged their curling iron afterwards because it's so automatic, you just do it, right? That's how your habits will eventually become too. And that frees you up to do a lot more fun, exciting things.
Also, my friend Julie Solomon said this. She's like, if your business is not making dumb money because you have things automated, like you need to fix that problem right now. So like, what are some of the ways that you could just create do the boring stuff to just set it so that you have, I mean, it's a little bit different for a jewelry business. We can talk about that later. But like, when she said that to me, I was just like, because I'm so much like you. Jason's like sitting here laughing because he's like, variety, you know, like chaos, like all the things. You like gotta like stir up the business in order to stay excited. And at some point, you're just like exhausted because you don't necessarily want to do that. You finding that place where you could just like wash, rinse, and repeat something that you know that works and get that dumb money coming in. Or boring. No, she didn't call it dumb money. I'm confusing dumb tax and
Fuck you money.
boring money and fuck you money. Boring money. Get boring money. Yeah.
Oh,
boring money is boring money is just like stuff that you could set like a funnel up for, and it just like makes you money.
Oh yeah.
So I think for like a jewelry
that.
business, it would be having automation in place where like after someone purchased, like you're incentivizing them to just like buy again, or on the front end of your sales funnel, getting them in that process of like going and buying on your website so that you don't have to think about like how you're making the sales. It's just like automatic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. And also I think like we tend to want to make things more exciting than they need to be, and we overthink. Any other overthinkers in the room? And I'm guilty of this too, like the email newsletter thing. I'm like, well, because I hate, my inbox is such an area of opportunity. That's why Tracy messaged me 10 times before I answered, because I literally didn't see it. So like, okay, I'm always overthinking my email. Like, how do I make this so exciting so when they open it, they're not like, why did she send me this? Had no value. But I think I need to like take it more down to basics too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes. Sorry, hold on a second. Yeah, I mean, I think that what she was saying though is it's just like such a powerful thing. I'm like, if you had, because she's built this business where she has like money coming in from all these different funnels. I'm like, I need boring money in my life, like just things that just make money on a daily basis.
Plug for print on demand, by the way. So like I'm wearing my hat. This is like my merch that I do not make. The girl who designed the cover of my book, God bless her, because the first cover was a hot mess. She designed merch for me, and I plugged it on Printful, had someone set up a Shopify store, and I get orders. I don't have to do anything except say fulfill. And then
So good.
Printful makes it, ships it, and I collect the money. I'm like, wow, this almost seems too easy. But I'm
So
here for
exciting.
it.
I'm going to be doing that. My friend Blair, who was just here speaking, she has a Printful, print on demand, a
Yeah.
bunch of swag and awesome stuff too. So I
Yeah.
love that hat. I'm going to be buying that.
Get out of your own way, babe.
Get out of your own way, babe. Tracy.
Thank you. I had a quick question. You mentioned that habits that don't work is because of the design.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Yes.
how do we design habits that do work?
Okay, thank you for asking this. It is my favorite thing to pop off on. Okay, because when I found this out, it was like all the light bulbs went on. So there are 4 components to every single human behavior. I don't care what it is. It applies to all of them. And I love acronyms, so you can remember it this way. ACTS, A-C-T-S. So you have ambition. Do you want to do it? Capability. Can you do it? T, the trigger, the prompt or the cue to do it, and then satisfaction, the reward for doing it. And this is in the book, by the way, so don't feel like you have to take copious notes. So where do we usually start when we're thinking about a habit we want to do? People always start with I'm so motivated to get in shape. Oh, it's so exciting to do this thing. Okay, you don't start with that. You want to start with capability. You have to make it so easy. Within capability, these R factors. Okay, so you have resources. These encompass time, money, tools, knowledge and skills, and assistance, which by the way, if you need assistance, it's not going to become a habit, so toss that one out. Then you've got rigor, the physical rigor, the mental rigor, the emotional rigor. That one doesn't always come into play, but it can. And then reach, is it in reach of your current routine? If any of those factors are in play, and you have rigor present or you're missing the other factors, you are not going to do the behavior. So how can you shore up the weak links and make it so freaking easy to do? Physical rigor is probably the most common one, and I'll give you an example. I need to be better about putting sunscreen on my face every day because while I love Louis Vuitton, I do not want to look like a Louis Vuitton. And that's real talk. I'm like, Tracy, what's your skincare routine? Tell me. So the reason I wasn't putting sunscreen on every day is because my husband stole my face sunscreen and I had not replaced it. So our sunscreen was like on the other side of the house where we have like outdoor stuff. You guys have a beautiful home, but it's not like, I joke in the book, it's not like Versailles, I'm not walking for like 30 minutes from one end to the other. It's like 30 seconds, okay? But it's far enough away from the rest of my skincare routine that the physical rigor is too much. So how do you solve for it? You make it easy. You buy another tube of sunscreen and you put it where you do your skincare routine, right? The example I give in the book is foam rolling. I was not foam rolling. I have really tense shoulders because I'm on a computer all the time. And my husband in his past life was a physical therapist. So he shows me all these foam rolling things to do to like get my shoulders unlocked. Okay, great, perfect. But I was not foam rolling because I have long hair. I always wear it down. And if I'm foam rolling, it gets pulled. And I always love to joke. Sometimes it's fun to get our hair pulled, but it's not when we're foam rolling. Let the freak flag fly, baby. So how can you solve for that? You put a hair tie where you foam roll. My hair tie was in the bathroom. Again, short walk. But it was just enough I wasn't doing it. And so here's where we like shame ourselves. On my tombstone it will say, don't shit on yourself. Should, not shit. Don't do that either. We'll be like, oh, I should be able to do that. Why am I not doing it? Okay, stop that. You just have to make it easy for yourself. So how can you make it stupid easy? Also, if you want to break a habit, make it harder to do. So it takes very little physical rigor to not do something. So let's just say Girl Scout cookie season will be here before you know it. Let's say you don't want to eat a whole box of Thin Mints in a sitting, right? How can you make that harder to do? You could put it on a top shelf where you have to get a stool out to get it. 2 reasons that's going to help. A, it's going to introduce conscious thought of like, do I really want this box of Thin Mints? But also it's too much physical rigor. I don't want to deal with getting a stool. If something goes on the top shelf, it's dead to me. I got to really want it to get it, right? And you're also then removing the trigger. The prompt or the cue is gone if you can't see it. It's why people pay top dollar for that eye level section in the grocery store, right? So now that you know these components, you can begin to play with it. But leave motivation out of it. I mean, if you're really motivated, you can do something really hard. I give an example in the book about these teenage girls who lifted a 3,000-pound tractor off their father when it pinned him.
Oh, I've heard that.
They were really, really motivated to do that, right? And they had the surge of adrenaline. But do you think that they're gonna get into a habit of like, ooh, my lifting routine is lifting 3,000-pound tractors? Probably not. That's a little too hard to do. So sometimes if we really wanna do it, it'll work, but most of the time, just make it so stupid simple that like, even when motivation leaves you, which it does, you can still do it. And if you need proof of that, think about people who join a gym January 1st and stop going 3 weeks later. We all know that this happens. Was that
Yes,
helpful?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
cool.
repetition, I presume, at the end of all that. Right?
Repetition, yep. Oh, and one final thing. If you can't get yourself to do something, ask yourself, WTF, not that one. Where's the friction?
Right.
I want you to like embed that in your brain. Where's the friction?
Where's
and
the
then
friction?
immediately, when you remember to do this behavior, while you're doing it or right after, I'm talking immediate, you celebrate. And I'm not talking about anything crazy, like the type of celebration where if you were to wad up a piece of paper, sink it in the trash can, what do? You're like, yeah, yes. That type of celebration, because it packs that reward center and you release dopamine, right? So, I mean, we're all in a scroll hole all day because of dopamine. Use that same wiring to your advantage to wire in your habits. Yeah, thank you for the question.
Awesome. So many great questions. We're going to wrap up the podcast, but are you going to stay for
I will be here for lunch, yeah.
Okay,
Ask me
awesome.
anything.
So she's going to be here for a little bit of a while. Where can everyone find your book?
You can find it on Amazon, and now there's an audiobook as well on Audible.
good.
So you can go
She gets to narrate it. It's amazing. I'm listening to it.
And can I just say one other thing? All of you who are going to write books, because I know many of you are going to after you heard me talk about it and looking at you. I heard that it would cost $6,000 to get an audiobook made, and I'm like, no, I'm a techie girl. I can figure it out. 20 hours and like $50 in stuff that I had to get online to edit and make this audiobook happen. So anyway, so that's on Audible. So you can find that at alessiacitro.com/book. All my other stuff is on my website too, but I'm really active on the gram, so come find me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
So good.
Have you heard about the Jewelry Marketing Collective? It's our sales-focused membership community that's designed to help you unlock more sales, increase your website traffic, grow your email list, and build an engaged social media following. The way the membership works is that each month we release a sales challenge and break down the exact steps you need to make more sales. Our next challenge is happening soon, and it's our holiday sales promotion and content creation challenge, followed by our Black Friday sales push. So if you'd like to join us for the Jewelry Marketing Collective and have a step-by-step strategy on how you can sell more this holiday season, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/JMC for more details.
Thanks so much for watching the show today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure that you go pick up Alessia's book. And while you're at it, why don't you pick up my book as well? It's called The Desire Brand Effect, Stand Out in a Saturated Market with a Timeless Brand. It's available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. Ciao for now.